Caitlin has over 1 million views on YouTube.
What would you say to agents who are trying to find that content that their audience is craving and just aren't seeming to figure it out?
Okay, so you're going to make videos and find clients. Cool. Okay, good luck with that.
What's up and welcome back to another episode of the REVB Podcast, brought to you by Pre-Workout and Tim Macy's Facial Hair. I'm Katie Day. I'm here with my co-host, Tim Macy, and we are going to dig in on YouTube today and all things video with Caitlin McKeague from Phoenix, Arizona. What's going on?
Hey, well, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here. Love to talk about YouTube. So pretty much favorite part of my day today.
I buried the story. I buried the punchline. Caitlin has over 1 million views on YouTube.
That's correct. I do.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
And you also are in Phoenix, which has a lot of agents doing YouTube. So it's you're not like in an easy environment to succeed. There's a lot of competition there.
There are a lot of agents out there, but I think the thing is not everyone's actually doing it. You know, there's a lot of agents that have a YouTube and put up some videos, but aren't doing it consistently. So that makes it a little easier.
I love it. Well, tell me about your REVB experience and your video journey, kind of like what got you into YouTube. What are you seeing now? Like, give me your thoughts just on your journey and video in general.
Yeah. So I started my channel in 2019, so it's been a little while. And at the time, I was just kind of desperate to find a lead source that wasn't door knocking or cold calling because I was miserable and I was a newer agent trying to do those things. And I decided to go all in on YouTube that year. And it felt like I remember telling my husband and he was like, okay, so you're going to make videos and find clients. Cool. Okay, good luck with that, you know? And it worked. It works really, really well, actually. So I've been doing it for a while and it's the best thing I ever did for my business. It's the best thing I ever did, in my real estate career, in my opinion. And even though I did that a long time ago, there's still so much opportunity. If someone wants to jump in right now and start YouTube, like you can still make it work and get clients and business and be successful on YouTube. So, that's kind of my journey, was just whatever I got to do to not cold call and door knock, I'm in. And YouTube works for that.
So speaking of journey, one of my favorite things to do when I go to someone's YouTube page is to click on their video tab and then click on oldest, right? Because you can kind of see the journey. And so one of my favorite people to do this with is Ken Posick, right? Because everyone's like, oh, he's the YouTube master and this and that and all of these things. And like, then you go back to his videos from 20 whatever year and they're trash, right? And they all look the same and it's the same thumbnail across them all and there's nothing that they are today. And I see the same thing for
different.
You.
Caitlin's are all fire. She just brought the heat straight out the gate, right, Caitlin?
Something like that.
Yeah. I was.
So with that being said, right, like I'm seeing like you have one, it's like you have a couple property tours, some market updates where you're doing like a Loom style video, right? And then I see, market updates and then starting to get into like the what you should be doing type videos now and what you would tell an agent to do now. So what was that kind of shift for you? Because like I can see very consistent posting from like 2020, like you did a lot of market updates and things like that, but like they didn't get a significant amount of views, right? Probably good views for the time, but like what was the shift? What was the pivot that you made to kind of where you are today?
So the shift was I actually listened to what my viewers wanted to see. And I think that's the biggest key on YouTube is if you can provide your viewer with what they want to see, that's how you're going to win. That's how you're going to get more views, more engagement, more loyal fans, and ultimately more clients. And so what happened around 2020 is I started posting those market updates because of the pandemic and everyone thought the market was going to crash and so many questions. And I was like, cool, let me just like start talking about the market every week. And at the time, it wasn't that hard to find enough info about the market weekly. And I just started gaining more and more interest on those videos. And so I would post a home tour or I would post a neighborhood tour or, tips and tricks or whatever. and I wouldn't get that many views. But then my market update, where I just like freely spoke about the market and what I was seeing out there, those would always do so much better. Granted, like it was maybe I got 500 views on that video versus
Yeah.
my neighborhood tour had like 120, but it was still like, wow, these are outperforming. And so I leaned into that being more of kind of the crux of my channel. And I started posting 2 videos a week. So I would post market updates on Monday, and then I would do my normal neighborhood tour, some sort of tip trick on Friday, and kind of kept with that cadence for a while. And over time, the market updates just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think it was last year. I finally dropped the second video. So I did that for a really long time. And I went all in on market updates last year. And I think my channel's seen a lot of growth since I focused more on market updates, but in particular over the last year, I don't know how many subscribers I've gotten, probably like 5,000 more in a year. Possibly I'd have to look back, but it's like completely accelerated because I just finally leaned into what everyone wanted to hear from me.
Well, so I have 2 questions coming out of that. Like when you say what everyone wanted to hear from me, you kind of already answered it, but I want you to answer it again. Is like when you're just starting a channel and you're posting and you're only getting the 100 views, like how do you actually know what people want?
Yeah. So, really, based on any engagement that you're getting, I mean, there's definitely going to be a trial and error period there, and you have to kind of establish yourself a bit. But in terms of comments, if you're actually getting any leads or calls from these videos and asking them, what
Yeah.
did you like about my content? Getting that kind of feedback helps. And then just also knowing you can tweak over time. Like what you commit to in the beginning should be the intention of attracting your ideal client. But if that's not working, you can shift, right? If you start to find like, hey, all these people really like this aspect of my channel, maybe I need to focus more on that. And so it's an evolution.
Well, and it looks like to me, the other question or thought that I had is in like 2023-ish is when you switched your thumbnails to like the thumbnails that they are today, right? Like very
Mhm.
way more clickable. Like your old ones are like, Phoenix market update, June 3rd, 2025, weekly market update, June 15th, so it's like
But
not clickable at all.
the thing I love, Katie, I'm so glad we scrolled down memory lane with Caitlin here on these YouTube videos.
He's like, yeah, me too.
But what I will say is, I can tell by looking at those old YouTube videos, you are trying new things. Like you
Yeah.
tried different thumbnails. Like you had Zillow with the line through it, and like you were obviously experimenting. And
Mhm.
I think that a lot of agents just want the answer and they don't want to experiment. And when you said that you found what your audience wanted, like you found that through trying different things. And so, I know when we say that to agents and then we see the content they put out, we're like, oh, they just don't get it. Like they don't get what their audience wants. But then when they put something out and it does well, something clicks for them,
Mhm.
And so like, what would you say to agents who are trying to find that content that their audience is craving and just aren't seeming to figure it out?
Well, I think you're right. It's a little bit of trial and error along the way and testing different things. Generally there's like 5 to 6 different types of content that works well on YouTube for agents. You have like your educational type of content, you can do vlog style content, you can do the like neighborhood tours, home tours. There's a number of things that you can do. And I always say, like, pick 1 to 3 of those content segments and just hone in on them. Don't veer from them. Don't get shiny object syndrome. Let's train the algorithm on what it is that you're there to present. And YouTube will help find your audience for that. And then once you start to get an audience, you'll start to see, like, is this resonating with them or not? So you're just not going to like start and be like, oh my God, I blew up out of the, like, okay, if you get one viral video, great, but that doesn't mean that you're going to get clients from it or you're going to have longevity on YouTube. It really is a process of trial and error, and you kind of have to figure out what that is as you go a little bit.
All right, you're doing the market updates. Do you have the same format for every single video, or what's your creation process look like? Because like doing a weekly video, like we're in similarly-ish sized markets. Like not a ton changes from week to week, but you can obviously talk about month over month trends, year over year trends, week over week things that are happening. But like, what are you doing as far as like production process to plan out your videos?
Yeah, so I have to go nationally a little bit. So I always drill down to Phoenix, but I'm talking about national trends too. So I always hit on a few things. I'm always talking about mortgage rates at some point, some sort of mortgage rate update, because there are so many things going on economically that affect rates. So therefore, I can tie in a little bit more of that, like national news and stuff like that. So I kind of start broad and then go down to Phoenix. And I'm always trying to find some sort of trend that, they may report on nationally that we can also talk about that's happening in Phoenix, or maybe the opposite is happening in Phoenix from what an article said. So I have a number of news sites that I always look at, like Yahoo Finance, Housing Wire, Redfin has some good stuff, sometimes not always great, sometimes misleading, but that's another point of conversation. And then I'm really lucky here in the Phoenix market. We have a subscription called the Cromford Report, and they dial in on all of the MLS data and have so much information. So I subscribe to that, and I use a lot of their data to help me craft, what I'm going to talk about. And my goal is always to figure out what is the theme of the week, because that theme is going to be what my title is. It's going to be what the thumbnail exudes. It's that's the whole reason I get people to watch it, because as you guys know, if you just put market update June 15th or whatever, like it's a snooze fest, like nobody cares. So you got to figure out what is the theme, and a little bit of curiosity too. There's also, at this time, it's easier to make a market update because there's a lot of questions out there, a lot of uncertainty. Yeah. It's a lot easier to kind of like create the curiosity and answer the questions for people. So that's my process, is kind of broad to narrow, and using a bunch of different news sources. And then I use ChatGPT. Like I'll collect all of these news sources. I put it all into ChatGPT and say, what's the theme of all of these articles? Summarize it for me so I can get a good grasp on like, what do I want to pull out of this? And then I basically just like go through it like free form. I don't have a script. I just click through the tabs of every article, talk about it, try to have like a flowing thread within what I'm talking about till the end. And so that's kind of my process on those updates.
Hey, in your defense, the weekly market update being the title and thumbnail worked really well in 2021.
Yep. Yes. I had to iterate eventually. People are like, she's posting the same video for a year. What's going on?
No. They're different videos, but yeah.
I want to get into the weeds, but I don't know if you remember this video from 2 years ago. I just loved the thumbnail. And the thumbnail is, it's official, with arrows pointing down.
Mm-hmm.
And then the title is, prices coming down, Phoenix real estate market. But I just love that thumbnail and title because it says it's official. And you're like, what is official? And then the title is prices coming down. And so that's not even what I would consider your new style of thumbnail that you're doing. I love that one. I thought that was a great one to recreate. Yeah, right there. Look at that. That's so good.
Mm-hmm.
For those that are actually watching on a computer.
So yeah, what were some of the epiphanies that you had on thumbnails? Because obviously, like, you've worked thumbnails and titles a lot more in the last couple of years, and so like, how do you think through making good thumbnails and titles?
Well, exactly what you just described is what I'm always aiming for, is like creating curiosity, and like what is official, right? And then that prompts someone to read the title, and then ultimately, hopefully they want to watch the video. And so, my whole goal is to like have those two work in harmony. And most likely people are looking at the thumbnail first because it's some sort of color, it's someone's face, it's bold, and it's bigger than the title. So especially if you're looking on mobile, those thumbnails stand out. So to have a thumbnail that's like, wait, do I want to watch this? And then read the title to reinforce. And that title doesn't answer the question. It just leaves more of a question of like, okay, this actually is probably what I want to watch. And so that's what I'm always trying to do. And I didn't do it for a really long time. And I had a huge shift in my views when I started to actually be strategic about thumbnails and titles. I know it sounds cliche and everyone says they're so important. And I was like, I'm never going to be one of those people with like the shocked face and the gasping face. And here I am, and I'll do it till I die because it gets me the views.
Well, I love it. I mean, I get that people have whatever feelings they have about it, but at the end of the day, if you're putting this much work into your video, like it's on you to make thumbnails and titles that will make people watch your video, or else you're just pretty much saying, I don't care if people watch my videos if you don't care about your thumbnails and titles. So,
Right. You can have the best content in the world, but if no one clicks on it, then yeah,
nobody's going to see it. Talking about your production process, and so like your videos have gotten better, all that fun stuff. Tell me, like, what kind of stuff are you leveraging to make this production easier? Like, what are you still doing yourself? Tell me about your production process when it comes to these videos.
I have an editor who does the editing, and that's about it. Everything else is, this is just my home office. So, I don't have to go anywhere to film. I don't have to have a videographer for these types of videos. I do for my listing videos. I do professional listing videos and that kind of thing, and reels. But for my market updates, it's just here, in my home office. And I have a Sony ZV-E10, and that's worked pretty well. Yeah, it's not super expensive, very affordable. It has nice quality. I love my videographer, and he's been so supportive of everything. So he actually came over, helped me set up the settings, and got it dialed in for me. So that helped. And then finally got my background done professionally. Had a guy do a feature wall for me. And my videographer helped me with the lighting. So all of that was just kind of my own setup. And so I record on Tuesday. I did that this morning. And then I send my video to my editor who's on Upwork. He lives in Bangladesh, and he'll edit it tonight while I'm asleep, send me the video tomorrow morning. I review it and then post it every Wednesday. And my process is a little bit different because I can't batch content if I'm doing weekly market updates. So I really had to find an editor who was cool with that deadline and wouldn't let me down. And so he's been really great. I've been working with him for about a year.
What did that process look like in trying to find an editor, right? Because that's like you said, Upwork, right? So you used a third-party website to find someone, but like that's always everyone's like, well, how do I do it? How do I find the right one? What did that look like for you?
I did a job post of what I was willing to pay per video, and it's free to do that. And you get a certain number of candidates, or you can post for a couple days for free or something. And they all have portfolios usually, so you can review their work, and you can just try it. Right? Like try it with someone once and send them the video, have them do it, pay them for their time. If you don't like it, don't use them again. It's all just like freelance. So luckily I liked what he did. And the only time that I had an issue is there was some political things going on in Bangladesh, like literally the second or third week I was working with him, and they had no internet access at all. And so like he didn't edit my video. I couldn't get in touch with him, and I was like, what the hell? And then he came back and was like, I'm so sorry, the government shut down our internet. And I Googled it, and I'm like, oh shit. I mean, seriously, how could that have really happened? But that was the only time I had an issue, and that was fair, I think.
Yeah, it was completely out of his control. That's like totally one of those things that I would hear that and be like, oh, that's a crock of shit. But
yeah,
yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
So what does your business process look like as far as getting business from the channel, right? So like, you know, I know in your descriptions of the video, you have like a contact block, but what is getting business look like?
So lead magnets are the way that I get all of my clients, pretty much. I do have some people that email me or call me or text me, but for the most part, they're clicking on a lead magnet to get an instant home value or to search my MLS or something. I have probably 30 different lead magnets that I rotate through. I always make them related to what I'm talking about in the content of the video. I call them out verbally in my video and tell people what to do. And then I put them in the comments, and I pin the comment, and then I put it in the description as well. And so most of them come through that way. They go into my CRM. I just hired an ISA to start calling them, but I also have automations in the CRM as well. So texts, emails. So they hear from me in a number of ways for a while, and try to set an appointment with them if they're looking to buy or sell in the next 3 months. Otherwise, they're nurture for a while.
The pinned comment is an underrated YouTube thing that not every creator, including myself, is doing. And so that's gold.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
gold. Thank
Do
you for
it.
that.
Just give us some context, like how much business are you getting from your YouTube channel?
Probably, I would say 90 to 100% of my clients come from YouTube. If they didn't come from YouTube, they were referred to me by someone that I originally met on YouTube. So all roads lead back. I get an average of 20 leads a week from YouTube directly to my CRM. A couple weeks ago, I got 50. That was a record for me.
Yeah.
And, a number of them are the wrong name, bad number, or never will answer. It's not like all of them are like, we're ready right now. But, you sift through 50 people, you're bound to make some appointments off of that and ultimately sign clients and get closings. So all roads lead back to YouTube pretty much.
50 leads in a week is wild. I'm still kind of processing that thought in my head. That's why there was a pause there. That's amazing. So congratulations on that. Tell me, walk us through some of like the automation or things that you have that are set up. So like I see here when I click on like chat with our team, it takes me to a discovery call link in your Stand store where I basically book a call, but then you have the name, email, message. Are you looking to buy, sell, or just gather information? What areas are you looking at? Ideal timeline? Are you working with a realtor? So like that all goes directly into your CRM, right?
Yes.
What other things do you have set up to make this like, because I feel like most people that start off on YouTube, let me like lay the groundwork for this question that I should have done before. Most people that start on YouTube, like they just start making videos and then they realize like, oh shit, I need systems to like back all of this stuff up. And so if someone's listening to this right now, it's like, what's like the thing that how did you get to this point is basically what I'm asking on the form and the automation type of stuff.
A lot of missed opportunity and lost commissions. So don't do what I did. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that I see out there when people start a YouTube channel is they post all their videos and they wait for someone to call, text, or email them. And they think saying call, text, or email me is going to get them clients. And it totally can. But when I started putting lead magnets on there and drip campaigns, it probably like 10x'd my lead flow. And this was years ago. And I was like, geez, I can't believe I didn't do this before. And then the other thing to think about is if you post a video that's evergreen, today and it blows up in 2 years and you never put a lead magnet on it, like that sucks. Now you have like a video that's getting a ton of views and you don't have any lead magnet associated with it. So I always say like, make sure you're doing that. But really, so for as far as like systems, a CRM is super helpful and you can make it really basic. Like I used to use Follow Up Boss. I use Lofty now, but both very similar. Have a lead magnet that goes to a landing page. Capture their contact information and make sure that gets dumped into your CRM, whether it, works directly or if you have to use like Zapier or however all of that stuff works. And then set up drip campaigns, if nothing else, right? If you don't have auto text ability, at least just some sort of email nurture or drip campaign where they're going to hear from you automatically over a month, 3 months time frame or whatever it is. That's how I started. It was just some emails. And then I realized that there was so much more opportunity if I just started calling these people. And that's when I found out I lost a ton of opportunity from not calling them and learned the hard way. So I definitely recommend if you get phone numbers, actually call these people and start a relationship with them. Don't rely on your email. But you can layer it and make it as complicated as you want. At this point, everyone's getting emails from me, auto texts, and now I have an ISA giving them a call as well. And that's if they're coming into the system requesting information, if they want an instant home value, something like that. If it's setting up a discovery call, obviously we're going to have a Zoom call scheduled. So, I'll get to talk to them in person. But, it's just kind of an evolution over time.
The best sales advice is the most simple, right? Like you went through, hey, you can do these automations, you can have auto text, you can have these drip campaigns, you can have all these things. And then the best thing that you just said was, and then I simply picked up the phone and I called them.
Called people.
Yep. Sad realization, but that's what it
You lost
takes.
like half the audience, though. Half the audience just like, I don't want to call people.
No.
I know. To your own detriment. I was just sharing this story. When I did finally start calling people, everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, it's so great to hear from you. We just bought a condo this summer." And I was like, that's great. And then I picked up the phone, called someone else, same type of answer. "We just bought a house this summer." Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And so I kind of stopped calculating the loss commission when I hit 6 figures. I was like, well, this was really stupid. I'll call my database. Okay.
Well, give me the scoop too on the lead magnets. Like, what are your do you have more top of funnel lead magnet and more bottom funnel lead magnet? Is it varied, or do you only just have like a couple and you just run the same play over and over?
So I think I would have to count, but I think I've created about 30 or so over time, not including any like specific property lead magnets. And since I'm doing market updates, they're all data related, which allows me to get more seller leads. So that's how I would say I probably get 50% seller leads, 50% buyer leads, which isn't very common for a YouTube channel usually in real estate. And
Those are great YouTube channel numbers for sure.
Yeah. And so it's because I can offer data. So I don't let anything having to be automated stop me. So for instance, if I'm talking about days on market in my video for whatever reason, I'm going to offer a lead magnet of get the days on market in your city or in your zip code. And that's not something I can automate for them, but they want it, right? So they're still going to give me their contact information, and then I can figure it out, look it up, or have my assistant look it up, pick up the phone, call them to deliver the information. Now I have a reason to call them or send it in a text or whatever if you don't want to call. But that's how you can make a lead magnet out of anything if we go back to, dated focused stuff. And so that's what I do. Like anything that I'm talking about in my video that could be of value to someone, the inventory in your zip code, and then of course I use like instant home value and stuff like that. But anything data related for sellers works really well. And then for buyers, certain kinds of home searches. So you can create custom home searches of like homes with pools, homes built in the last 5 years, homes, whatever it is. You could do a million of those. So it really depends on the theme of the video, but I always pick 1 to 3 things that I'm talking about in that video that I want to offer to my audience to get more information about for them. And a lot of times it's a manual poll, but I'm happy to do it if I got a lead, right?
Yeah. Well, and so that's one reason why I love YouTube, because like since there isn't like a DM feature, because on Instagram, like someone would just DM you and be like, give me more info, or like, it's a very awkward DMing stage to then be like, oh, also can you like give me your email and your phone number? Like, it's sometimes a little rough to have that ask. Like YouTube, it's like click here to submit your info to get the thing, or this is how you can get it, right? And so you said sometimes you have 3 different lead magnets. Is that per video?
Yeah.
Like 3 things that you talk. Okay. How do you CTA that? Right. Cause it's like normally you're probably not putting them all at the end. Like so it's probably throughout the video, but what does that look like?
Yep. So as I'm talking about that information, then I'll be like, by the way, if you wanted that for your zip code, check the description. I have a link where you can get that info. And then I just continue on with what I'm saying. So every time I hit a point in the video where I'm talking about that topic, that's when I will do a CTA about it, just in the flow of it, and then move on from it. So not only do they hear me say it, they see it in the comments, they see it in the description, and perhaps they're already having that question in their mind because I'm talking about that information, and they're wondering like, oh, I wonder what it's like in my area.
So like just for a recent video, it says, assumable mortgage property list, contract ratio in your zip code, instant home value, chat with our team, right? And so she's telling them, hey, this is where it is, go to the description and it's down there and click there, right? So yeah, I like having multiple CTAs as you're going through, not being at the end and being like, so if you want the assumable property mortgage list and the contract ratio and to get your home value, like click, right? It's a gradual thing. So that's cool. Have you just looking at your channel, like you've been pretty consistent, right? how was the transition into going to the editor other than the one time? Like, have you found it difficult to have a channel where like you're making a weekly video that isn't evergreen?
Yes. I mean, the size of my channel arguably could be so much bigger if it was evergreen content, because I could get so many more views on, but I don't get many views on my videos after a week. It dies. It's no longer interesting or relevant information for most people. So I can capture these big grabs of views over a week's time, and then it's like never get touched again. So I have a kind of, I don't know that I would recommend that. That works really well for me right now and it gets me leads. But if you're really trying to build something where you don't have to be handcuffed to making a video every single week, which is where I'm at, then evergreen is a much better way to go. And you could, if you're trying to monetize, you're probably going to be making a lot more money than me because you have multiple videos getting views constantly. So, pros and cons, it works. Ultimately, I'm not on here to make money. I'm on here to get leads. Getting monetized is just a nice bonus for doing what I'm already doing. So if I'm getting leads, I consider it successful, but, the model that I have is a little bit stressful because, getting sick, still got to make your video, during COVID and I have a 2-year-old. So, pregnancy, birth, all of that. I'm like, how am I going to get these videos done? And so
you've got to deliver on a Wednesday or Thursday, right? Like
that actually doesn't work with my schedule. So we can't do this. So, that, and then I'm very much, dependent on my editor to make sure he does it. Now the good news is I know how to edit and all I'm doing is talking. I don't have to do anything fancy. It's more of like clipping out my mistakes. So worst case scenario, I have to spend an hour editing in the morning if he screws up. But that's not ideal. So I guess my advice would be if you can build an evergreen channel, it gives you a lot more flexibility. You can batch content. You're not always every week having this hang over your head because you could prep it in advance. Yeah. But it's worked well for me. So I'm just kind of riding this wave for now.
I think it also depends on finding what works for you, right? And like, some people aren't data driven at all. So them doing a market update channel like wouldn't work or wouldn't be a good move. So
yeah.
Caitlin, last question. There's probably people on here.
What's your favorite color?
No, that's not my last question.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, you can answer if you just have one top of your head that just
blue.
Blue. Okay, great.
Very unique.
There's probably people listening to this in the car right now that haven't started the YouTube channel, and we're on our whatever episode of the REVB podcast this is, and they're still thinking about it. If after this they're ready to take action, they're ready to go shoot that first video, they're ready to start building the YouTube channel, what's your biggest piece of advice to them?
You just got to do it. I mean, think about all of the time that you've lost not doing it, I guess I would say. And I guess another piece of advice for motivation and inspiration, go watch my first videos and see how absolutely awful they were. Because I think sometimes it depends on why people aren't starting. Sometimes it's just like, I don't know where to start and I'm overwhelmed. Other times it's fear of being on camera and on video. So it depends on what it is that's really holding you back. And I think you have to think through that. And also remember, like, YouTube is a long game. So the sooner you start, the sooner you'll actually start to see, some fruits of your labor, because it takes a bit to get anything from it. So the longer you delay, it's just going to be, the longer you actually see results from your efforts. So I don't know that really answers the question, except for like, you got to figure out what's holding you back and then confront it and decide if this is really for you.
That was a great answer. No, I love that. That's awesome.
Great. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate you being on. And what's the best way for people to connect with you?
So I'm on Instagram, Your Phoenix Real Estate Agent. You can follow my YouTube channel, which is Caitlin McKeague, Your Phoenix Real Estate Agent. I'm also on TikTok, same handle. So wherever you want to be, I'll be there.
Awesome. You're the best. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Great to be on.